One of the biggest fears that people have that push them into buying homes is that rents are going to continue rising. God forbid rents are going to keep rising. Let me tell you why that is bull. And I live in New York City and I'm calling bullshit. I've lived in New York City since 2011. It is now 2023. I still rent and my rental cost is not bad. And this is the reason why. There are many reasons why rental costs aren't as bad as what people fearmonger you to think. And one of the big reasons is because of inventory. Rental inventory is very high. Why is that? Well, in the 2010s, we all heard about those really cheap interest rates, remember? So everyone was getting cheap interest and so were the builders. So what happened? Have you been to any major city recently? Have you seen how many new units have been constructed in the market? So there's tons of new inventory being built. Now, if you want to live in downtown FiDi or if you want to live in Midtown Manhattan, sure, you're going to get rental increases. But even so, there are deals in Upper East Side, in like the further outskirts where it's a little bit further away from public transportation. You can find rental deals all the time. So when people say rents are going to keep rising, yeah, but like, why would you buy an overpriced home? Like, how does that help you any, right? Because an overpriced home, the problem there is now you're locked in a house that you may or may not even like past, let's say, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years. So the problem today is that people actually move a lot more than they used to, whether it's because their spouse found a new place, whether it's because the family just wants to get the hell on out of New York City. So again, going back to my original point, that's why renting is so cheap comparatively than, let's say, buying an overpriced home. Because you'll never have to buy a new stove as a renter. So there's so many costs that you actually do save as a renter. You don't have to put down an enormous down payment. You don't have to do a lot of these things. That enormous down payment, you could instead put into the S&P and make a pretty darn good return, right? So again, I think the world has totally changed because so many of these homes make no sense. Like, you should not buy a dinky 1-bedroom condo for $700,000 in New York City because you're scared of paying rent. You know how much just the down payment alone, how many years of rent that could cover? It would cover decades. Seriously, decades of rent. So you can find a lot of good deals, especially if you're not picky and you don't need to work in Midtown Manhattan. You can just live in Hoboken. You can live in Union City. You can live in Brooklyn. You can live in Queens. You can live in the Bronx. Like, there's so much variety and option to choose as a renter.